Hi, my name is Elif Sezer Aydınlı. I'm a cultural historian specializing in Ottoman book and reading culture. I'm a part-time lecturer at Boğaziçi University teaching the course Ottoman book and reading culture. For the academic year 2023 and 2024, I will be a postdoc fellow at ANAMED, working on a project titled Popular Reading Culture in Ottoman Istanbul and Anatolia in the 19th Century. Last year, I completed my PhD at Freie Universität Berlin at the Department of History and Cultural Studies. My dissertation is titled A Manuscript Community in Ottoman Istanbul, 18th-19th Centuries, Heroic Stories, Social Profiles, and Reading Spaces. My dissertation traces a reading community, as you understand from its title, formed around some popular heroic genres such as Hamzanames and Ebu Müslimnames. The versions I examine are about 2,000 manuscripts produced and circulated in the 18th and 19th centuries, essentially in Istanbul, with some examples from Bursa and Edirne. I claim that these stories were like residues of a traditional literary taste that nevertheless had the power to appeal to the social, moral, and heroic memory of the contemporary urban community. The main source for my research was the reader notes on the manuscripts. From these notes, I was able to determine that these stories were popular among a very heterogeneous population, from the staff of the imperial palace to porters and boatmen, from Janissary soldiers to students of the newly established schools such as Mektebi Tıbbiye or Mektebi Mülkiye, or from migrants of Anatolian provinces to officials of the institutions of the extended bureaucracy in the period. Moreover, these stories had a wide spatial coverage of the contemporary urban landscape. The main reading practice in reading these stories was reading aloud to an audience, mainly in coffee houses, but also in schools, prisons, offices, streets, houses, and even imperial palaces. I also examined these text performances in terms of their seasons, duration, reciting manners, and atmosphere of the collective performances. Until this date, few scholars have examined the appearance of ordinary people in urban entertainment and the written world in the Ottoman Empire of the 18th century. However, focusing on a first-hand source and examining a popular reading culture with its actors, manners, and special conditions was a first in the fields of Ottoman history and literature. Now I intend to expand the scope of my dissertation, which focused on Istanbul, to include Anatolian geography, as I have become aware that some manuscripts were read in other cities as well. In addition, many members of my reading community were migrants from Anatolian provinces, in part because the stories I studied have strong connections to Anatolian Alevi Bektashi heroic culture. Based on this material, I aim to show that literate cultures in the 19th century were more complex than expected, especially as ordinary people were introduced to the picture. I will also expand my sources by including miscellaneous compilations and the external sources such as traveler diaries or newspapers of the period, which I think will be also useful for my study. As a methodological innovation, in addition to archival research in the manuscript libraries of Istanbul and Anatolian provinces, I aim to develop a sensory approach based on the ongoing practice of collective readings in urban centers and Anatolian provinces through participation in collective readings. Such an approach would allow me to get a better picture of the sessions in the past and will therefore contribute to my historical understanding of the centuries-old reading culture. On a theoretical level, this project aims to explore 19th century reading culture in Istanbul and Anatolia in its complexity and hybridity through manuscripts of popular genres such as heroic stories, hikaye, miscellaneous mecmua, and poetry collections, junks. It argues that the perceptions of the 19th century Ottoman reading culture as isolated, uniform, and institutional should be re-evaluated, considering also non-elite and non-intellectual reading communities. It seeks to demonstrate the aspects of this reading culture, including but not limited to the agents such as scribes, performers, audience, manners of reading, the topography of reading such as locations and reading venues, and the communication between readers. In this way, this project will contribute to the scholarship by demonstrating how the 19th century was in continuity with previous centuries and how the so-called elite and popular cultures overlapped each other. I hope this expanded research of my dissertation, supported by ANAMED, will lead me to a book publication from an academic press, a conference on popular reading culture, and an edited volume on the Ottoman popular reading culture in the longer term. I'm looking forward to be a part of the academic and supportive environment of ANAMED and learning about the projects of other fellows. Thank you for listening.